Here's the big question that he asked me that day, and as simple as it was, it changed my life. He said, "Mr. Rohn, why do you want what you say you want?" You see, he wanted to know why I wanted. He didn't really care about what I wanted, and he didn't want a perfect answer. He didn't want the one that I was putting on my applications, or the one that I had prepared for dinner parties. He meant the real answer, the one underneath the performance, the one I didn't have words for yet because nobody had ever asked me to go looking for it. Why do you want the income you say you want? Why do you want the business you say you want to build? Why do you want the body, the marriage, the freedom, the respect, the influence? Why? And I'm not asking because I think you don't have a reason. I'm asking because I think most people have never actually examined the reason they're carrying. And an unexamined reason is one of the most dangerous things a person can build a life on top of. Here's what I've seen over many years of watching people set goals and chase dreams and fall short and start over and fall short again. The problem is almost never ability. It's almost never resources. It's almost never timing. The problem, more often than anyone wants to admit, is that the person chasing the goal doesn't actually know why they're chasing it. They have a goal, sure. They might even have a plan. But when you peel back the layers and ask them why this particular thing matters to them, why this one out of all the things they could go after, what you get is vague. What you get is borrowed. What you get is something that sounds like it came off a bumper sticker or out of somebody else's mouth. I want to be successful. I want financial freedom. I want to make a difference. And those are fine sentiments, I guess. But they're not reasons. They're slogans. And you can't sustain a life of effort and sacrifice and difficulty on a slogan. A slogan will carry you through a Monday morning. It won't carry you through a year of setbacks. Now, let me tell you where most of these vague reasons come from, because I think it's worth understanding the root of the problem. Most people are carrying goals they didn't choose. They inherited them. They picked them up the way you pick up an accent, slowly, unconsciously, from the environment they happen to grow up in. Your family valued a certain kind of success, and so you absorbed that definition without ever asking whether it fit you. Your culture told you what a good life was supposed to look like, and you started building toward that picture without ever examining whether it was a picture you actually wanted hanging on your wall. Your peers moved in a certain direction, and you moved with them, not out of conviction, but out of proximity. And none of that makes you foolish. It makes you human. We're social creatures. We're shaped by the people and the messages around us. But here's the cost of never questioning those influences. You can spend 10, 20, 30 years climbing a ladder with tremendous effort and real sacrifice, only to reach the top and realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. And at that point, you haven't just lost the time. You've lost the energy and the faith you would have needed to start again with something that was genuinely yours. This is what I mean when I say that a weak reason isn't just unhelpful. A weak reason is actively dangerous, because a weak reason will let you start. That's the deceptive part. It has enough energy to get you off the ground. It has enough appeal to make you feel like you're going somewhere. But it doesn't have enough pull to keep you in orbit when the resistance shows up. And the resistance always shows up. Think of it like fuel in an engine. You can have the most beautifully engineered machine ever built, the finest parts, the best design, a body that looks like it was made to move. But if you fill the tank with the wrong fuel, that machine is going to stall. It might run for a mile. It might even run for 10. But sooner or later, the engine is going to cough and choke and quit. And it won't be because the engine was flawed. It'll be because the fuel wasn't right for the journey. That's what a borrowed reason does. It gets you started, and then it leaves you stranded. And the worst part is, you blame yourself. You think, I must not be disciplined enough, or I must not want it badly enough. But the truth is, you might have plenty of discipline and plenty of desire. You just aimed them at something that wasn't yours, and your deepest self knew it even when your conscious mind didn't. So let's talk about the difference, because this is where the real work begins. There's a difference between a borrowed reason and an owned reason. And that difference is the difference between a life that sputters and a life that sustains. A borrowed reason is one that sounds right. It checks the boxes. It would impress someone if you said it out loud at a gathering. But when you're alone, when it's late at night and the doubts are circling and nobody's watching, that reason doesn't generate any heat. It doesn't pull you forward. It just sits there, polite and lifeless, like a painting of a fire. It looks like warmth, but it doesn't produce any. An owned reason is different. An owned reason might not even sound impressive to anyone else. It might be private. It might be specific in a way that only makes sense to you. But when you think about it, something moves in you. Something tightens in your chest or rises in your throat. It's not comfortable. It's not decorative. It's alive. And that aliveness is what you need, because the road ahead isn't going to ask you for impressive words. It's going to ask you for something real, something that comes from deep enough inside you that the surface storms can't reach it. Here's what I've noticed about the people who actually follow through on what they set out to do. It's not that they're smarter. It's not that they're tougher. It's not that they were born with some extra reserve of grit that the rest of us are missing. What they have, and what most people don't, is a reason that belongs to them. A reason they didn't inherit, didn't borrow, didn't copy from a magazine or a speech or a conversation with someone they admired. They went digging. They asked themselves hard questions and sat with uncomfortable answers. They peeled back the layers of I should, and they expect, and everybody says, until they hit something that was undeniably, unmistakably theirs. And once they found it, everything changed. Not because the obstacles got smaller, but because the reason got bigger than the obstacles. That's the shift. That's the moment. It's not when the road gets easier. It's when the reason gets strong enough that the difficulty of the road stops being the deciding factor. And I want to be straight with you about something, because I think honesty is more useful than encouragement at this stage. This excavation is not pleasant. Digging into your own motives is not a comfortable afternoon exercise. It requires you to confront things you may have been avoiding. It requires you to look at goals you've been chasing and ask, did I choose this, or did this choose me? It requires you to consider the possibility that you've been spending years of effort on something that doesn't actually matter to you. Not really, not in the way that counts, and that the fatigue and frustration you've been feeling isn't a discipline problem. It's a direction problem. You're not tired because you're weak. You're tired because you've been pulling a load that your real self never agreed to carry. And the relief that comes from setting that load down, from admitting that this wasn't yours, from going back to the beginning and asking, what do I actually want and why do I actually want it? That relief is not failure. That relief is the first honest breath you've taken in years. So here's what I want to leave you with before we go further tonight. The first act of real ambition is not setting a goal. I know that sounds wrong. I know we've been told our whole lives that the first step is to set a clear goal, write it down, put a timeline on it, and go. And I'm not saying that's bad advice, but it's incomplete advice because it skips the most important step. The first act of real ambition is excavation. It's digging down past the surface, past the expectations, past the noise, until you find a reason that is so specifically, so personally, so undeniably yours that no one could talk you out of it, even if they tried. You don't start by deciding where you're going. You start by understanding why you would make the journey at all. Because the destination can change. The plan can change. The timeline can change. But if the reason is real, if it's truly yours, if it came from the bedrock of who you are and not from the echo of somebody else's voice, then it doesn't matter how many times the map has to be redrawn. You'll keep moving. You'll keep searching. You'll keep finding a way, not because you're extraordinary, but because your reason won't let you stop. And that is the only fuel worth filling your tank with. Not the fuel that sounds impressive, not the fuel that looks good on paper, The fuel that burns hot enough to keep the engine running long after the excitement is gone. And the only thing left between you and quitting is the honest answer to one question: why am I doing this? Find that answer, and I mean really find it. And you will have done something that most people never do. You will have earned the right to set a goal that actually has a chance of surviving the life you're about to put it through. Now let's say you do find your reason. I want to spend some time on something that most people skip entirely. They find a reason, or at least they think they do, and they move straight to action. They start building, start pushing, start grinding. And then 6 months later, when the pressure mounts and the ground shifts beneath them, their reason collapses like a house built on sand. And they can't figure out why, because it felt so real when they started. It felt strong. It felt like enough. But feeling strong and being strong are not the same thing, and tonight I want to show you the difference. I want to break down what actually makes a reason durable, what gives it the structural integrity to hold you steady when everything around you is trying to pull you loose. Because not all reasons are created equal, and if you're going to stake your future on one, you'd better make sure it's built to last. We'll start with the most common kind of reason people carry, because I think it's important to understand why it fails before we talk about what works. The most common reason is vague. It's general. It's the kind of thing that fits on a greeting card. I want to be successful. I want to provide for my family. I want to live a good life. Now, nobody's going to argue with those statements. They're perfectly pleasant. They're perfectly safe. But that's the problem. They're safe. They don't cut deep enough to reach anything that matters. When you say, I want to be successful, what picture does your mind actually produce? If you're honest, it produces something blurry, something generic. A nice house, maybe, a certain amount of money, some vague notion of respect or admiration. But there's no face in the picture. There's no specific moment. There's no scene you can close your eyes and walk into and feel something so strong it makes your throat tighten. And that's the test. If your reason doesn't produce a specific image that creates a specific emotion, it's a wish, not a reason. And wishes are beautiful on birthday cakes, but they're worthless in a crisis. Now let me show you what a strong reason looks like, because the contrast is everything. A strong reason has specificity. It doesn't live in the abstract. It lives in a scene, a moment, a face, a place. It's not, I want to provide for my family. It's, I want my daughter to grow up in a home where she never hears her parents arguing about whether they can afford the electric bill. Can you feel the difference? The first one is a concept. The second one is a photograph. The first one asks nothing of your imagination. The second one puts you in a kitchen with a child under fluorescent light, and it makes you feel something you can't talk yourself out of. That is specificity, and specificity is what gives a reason its shape. Without shape, a reason is like water. It spreads out in every direction and has no force. With shape, it's like water through a nozzle, concentrated, directed, and powerful enough to cut through things that would otherwise stop you cold. When you're sitting at your desk at 9 o'clock at night, exhausted, wondering whether any of this effort is going to amount to anything, a vague reason gives you nothing to hold on to. But a specific reason puts a picture in front of your eyes, and that picture pulls you forward when nothing else can. The second quality of a reason that holds under pressure is what I'd call visceral connection. And by visceral, I mean it lives in your body, not just in your mind. You don't just think about it, you feel it. It produces a physical response. Your jaw tightens, your chest swells, your hands want to move. This is important because the battles you're going to fight on the road to anything worthwhile are not intellectual battles. They're emotional battles. They're battles of fatigue and discouragement and loneliness. And those battles are not won by logic. Logic will tell you all the reasons your effort makes sense, and you'll nod along and agree completely and still not get out of the chair. But a reason that lives in your gut, a reason that you feel the way you feel hunger or anger or love, that kind of reason doesn't need to convince you. It doesn't need to present an argument. It moves you the way instinct moves you, beneath thought, beneath deliberation, at a level where resistance has very little power. That's what it means to have a visceral connection to your purpose. And most people have never developed that connection because they've been taught to think about their goals instead of feel them. And here is the third quality. And this one might be the most important of all. And it's the one that separates the reasons that hold from the reasons that crumble when the real weight comes down. A reason that survives serious pressure almost always has a dimension that reaches beyond self-interest. Let me say that carefully, because I don't mean that self-interest is wrong. Wanting something for yourself, wanting a better life, a stronger body, a sharper mind, a fuller bank account, there is nothing wrong with that. In fact, self-interest is a perfectly fine engine for getting started. But self-interest on its own has a ceiling. There comes a point in every difficult journey where the cost exceeds the personal benefit, at least in the short term. There comes a moment where the suffering you're going through is greater than any reward you can imagine receiving. And in that moment, a purely self-interested reason runs out of fuel. It says, this isn't worth it anymore. The pain exceeds the payoff. Let's stop. But a reason that includes someone else, a child, a family, a community, a cause, someone whose life is changed by whether or not you keep going, that reason has a different kind of fuel. It's not just burning your own desire. It's burning something larger, something that makes the equation about more than just you. And when the equation is about more than just you, the math changes. The suffering doesn't shrink, but the meaning of the suffering expands. And meaning is what makes unbearable things bearable. Imagine two people training for the same difficult physical challenge. Same course, same conditions, same level of preparation. The first person is doing it because they want to prove to themselves that they can. That's a fine reason. That's a worthy reason. And it will carry them a long way through the early mornings, through the sore muscles, through the first few obstacles. But at some point, deep in the middle of the challenge, when their body is screaming and their mind is begging them to quit, that reason is going to face a test it may not survive. Because in that moment, the person can say, I've already proven enough. I don't need to prove anything more. I can stop and still respect myself. And they'd be right. They could stop and still hold their head up. The reason gives them permission to quit because it's already been partially fulfilled. Now look at the second person. This person is doing the same challenge, but their reason is different. They're doing it because their father was told he'd never walk again after an accident. And they want to cross that finish line carrying a photograph and a message that says, if you couldn't quit, I won't either. That reason isn't about proving anything to themselves. It reaches beyond them. It includes someone else's story, someone else's struggle, someone else's face. And when that person hits the same wall of pain and exhaustion, the calculation is entirely different. Quitting doesn't just mean stopping. Quitting means breaking a promise that extends beyond their own comfort. And that extension, that reaching beyond the self, is what gives a reason the weight to hold when everything else is trying to pull you loose. Now I want to introduce a way of thinking about this that I find really helpful, and it's the metaphor of an anchor. Think about a boat on the ocean. On a calm day, you can anchor that boat with almost anything. A bucket of rocks, a cinder block, a chain attached to a tire. In still water, even a modest anchor will hold you in place. And on the calm days of your life, that's exactly what happens. A modest reason, a vague reason, a borrowed reason, it holds you just fine when the water is smooth. You go about your business, you do your work, you feel steady, and you think, my reason is strong enough. I'm anchored. But you're not anchored. You're just floating in calm water and mistaking the absence of a storm for the presence of strength. Because when the storm comes, and the storm always comes, that modest anchor is going to be ripped off the bottom like it was never there. The boat is going to drift. and you're going to drift with it. And you'll end up somewhere you never planned to be, wondering what happened. What happened is that your anchor didn't have the weight for the conditions you encountered. You anchored for a pond, and life put you in the ocean. An anchor with real weight is different. It's forged from something specific, something visceral, something connected to a world larger than your own comfort. It doesn't just sit on the bottom. It digs into the floor. It grips. It holds, not because the conditions are easy, but because the anchor itself is heavy enough to resist what's pulling against it. And when the storm hits, the boat still rocks. Make no mistake about that. Having a strong anchor doesn't mean you won't feel the storm. You'll feel every wave. You'll feel the wind and the spray and the uncertainty. But you won't drift. You'll hold your position. You'll get through the night. And when the sun comes up and the water calms, you'll still be exactly where you intended to be. That is the difference between a reason that holds and a reason that doesn't. It's not about whether the storm comes. It's about what you're anchored with when it arrives. So let me ask you to do something right now in your mind. Think about the thing you say you want most, the goal, the ambition, the dream, whatever word you want to use. Now think about the reason behind it. And I want you to run it through these 3 tests honestly, without flattering yourself. First, is it specific? Can you close your eyes and see a scene, a face, a moment, a place? Or is it a fog, pleasant but shapeless, warm but weightless? If it's a fog, it needs work. It needs to be sharpened into something so clear you could describe it to a stranger and make them see it too. Second, is it visceral? Does thinking about it produce something in your body? A tightness, a heat, a quickening? Or does it just produce a thought, a nod, a mild sense of agreement? If it only lives in your head, it's not deep enough yet. You need to push it down into your chest, into your gut, into the place where things are felt rather than just understood. And third, does it reach beyond you? Is there someone else in the picture? Is there a face other than your own? Is there a life other than your own that changes because of whether or not you follow through? If the answer is no, I'm not telling you the reason is worthless, but I am telling you it has a ceiling, and that ceiling is lower than you think, and you're going to hit it at the worst possible time. Most people have been trying to weather serious storms with decorative anchors. That's not a criticism. That's a diagnosis. They chose their reason with good intentions, but without enough scrutiny. They picked the first thing that sounded noble or felt inspiring, and they never tested it for weight. And the result is that every time the water gets rough, they come loose. Every time real difficulty shows up, the kind that doesn't resolve in an afternoon, their anchor slides across the bottom, and they drift away from the very thing they said they wanted most. And the tragedy is that they often have everything else they need. They have the talent, they have the opportunity, they have the intelligence and the work ethic and the desire. The only thing they're missing is an anchor built for the actual conditions of the life they're trying to live. So if you take nothing else from this part of our conversation tonight, take this. Go back to your reason. Look at it with honest eyes. And if it's vague, sharpen it. If it's only in your head, push it into your body. If it's only about you, find the part that's about someone else, because you're going to need that anchor. Not today, maybe. Not this week. But the storm is coming. And when it arrives, the only thing that's going to matter is whether your reason has the weight to hold you where you want to be. Now, I want to talk about something that most people get entirely wrong about having a strong reason, and it's this. They think that once they've found it, the hard part is over. They think that finding the right reason is like finding the right key. And once you have it, every door just opens smoothly and you walk through without resistance. And I get why people think that, because that's how it's been sold to them. Find your passion and the work won't feel like work. Find your purpose and you'll leap out of bed every morning. Find your why, and the obstacles will melt away. That sounds beautiful, and it makes for a wonderful page in a book, but it's a lie. It's a well-intentioned, nicely packaged, deeply misleading lie. Because the truth is, finding your reason does not remove the difficulty from the road ahead. Your reason is not a magic spell that makes hard things feel easy. Your reason is the thing that makes hard things feel worth it. And those are two completely different experiences, and if you mix them up, you're going to be blindsided the first time your purpose meets real pain. So what does that mean? When something feels easy, there's no weight, there's no friction. You move through it the way you move through a pleasant afternoon, lightly, effortlessly, without having to summon anything from inside yourself. That's what people expect their reason to do for them. They expect that once they've found the right motivation, the right purpose, the effort will feel light. The early mornings will feel light. The sacrifice will feel light. The setbacks will feel light. And when those things don't feel light, when they feel exactly as heavy as they would feel without a reason, people panic. They think something is wrong. They think they must have the wrong reason, because if it were the right one, wouldn't this be easier? And so they go back to searching. They abandon the reason, abandon the work, and start digging for a new motivation that will finally make the whole thing feel effortless. And they'll search for that their entire life and never find it, because it doesn't exist. No reason, no matter how deep, no matter how true, has the power to remove the weight from difficult things. That's not what reasons do. What a real reason does is something far more valuable, but far less glamorous. A real reason gives you a place to put the weight. Think of it this way. Imagine you're carrying something heavy across a long distance. If you're carrying it for no reason, if someone just handed you a load and said, "Walk," every step is misery. Every step your mind is asking, "Why am I doing this? What's the point? When can I put this down?" The weight feels unbearable, not because your body can't handle it, but because your mind has no framework to justify the suffering. There's no meaning attached to the effort. It's just pain for the sake of pain, and the human spirit was never built to endure that. But now imagine you're carrying the same load, the same weight, the same distance, and the load is medicine. And at the other end of the road is someone you love who won't survive the night without it. Has the weight changed? Not 1 ounce. Your back still aches. Your legs still burn. Your lungs still strain. The physical experience is identical, but the entire meaning of the experience has been transformed, because now the weight has a place. It's not pointless. It's not random. It's connected to something that matters so deeply that putting the load down is no longer an option your mind is willing to consider. That is what a strong reason does. It doesn't make the load lighter. It makes setting it down unthinkable. And this is why I say that your reason only becomes real after it survives something. Before difficulty arrives, before the storm makes landfall, your reason is untested. It's a theory. It's an opinion you hold about yourself. You believe it's strong. You feel confident in it. You might even be right, but you don't know yet. You can't know yet. Because strength that has never been tested isn't strength, it's potential. And potential, while valuable, is not the same thing as proven capacity. Think about it this way. A bridge engineer can design a bridge on paper and calculate that it will hold 10,000 tons. The math might be flawless. The design might be brilliant, but until a real load crosses that bridge, until the steel bends and the cables stretch and the wind pushes against the structure, no one truly knows whether the bridge holds. The theory says yes, but only the test confirms it. Your reason is that bridge. It exists in your mind, beautifully designed, structurally sound in theory, but it hasn't been loaded yet. It hasn't been bent and stressed and pushed to its limits. And until it has, you're carrying an untested blueprint, not a proven structure. Now, here's why this matters. And I want you to hear this clearly, because I think it's the piece that changes everything. Most people interpret the arrival of difficulty as evidence that something has gone wrong. They set out with their reason, full of conviction, and the first time life pushes back hard, their instinct is to question the whole thing. Maybe this isn't meant to be. Maybe I chose the wrong path. Maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And those thoughts feel very wise in the moment because they come dressed in the language of reflection and self-awareness. But what's actually happening is that the reason is being tested for the first time. And instead of letting the test do its work, the person is running from it. They're pulling the bridge down before the load has finished crossing. And in doing so, they never get to find out whether their reason was strong enough because they didn't give it the chance to prove itself. Every meaningful thing you'll ever pursue, every single one without exception, has what I call a middle chapter. The middle chapter is the stretch of the journey that nobody warns you about because it's not dramatic enough to make a good story. It doesn't have the excitement of the beginning, when everything is new and the energy is high and the vision is fresh. It doesn't have the triumph of the end, when the results finally show up and the sacrifice pays off and everyone can see what you built. The middle chapter is the long, gray, unglamorous stretch between those two moments, and it's where most people quit. Not because they lack talent, not because the goal was wrong, but because the middle chapter is where your reason faces its first honest examination, and most reasons aren't ready for it. In the middle chapter, the initial excitement has completely disappeared. You can't even remember what it felt like to be that fired up, that certain, that charged. The results haven't shown up yet, or if they have, they're so small and so slow that they feel almost insulting compared to the effort you've put in. You look at how far you've come and it doesn't seem like enough. You look at how far you still have to go and it seems impossible. And the people around you, the ones who were cheering at the beginning, have gone quiet. Not because they stopped caring, but because your journey is no longer new and interesting to them. They have their own lives, their own struggles, their own middle chapters. And so you find yourself in the most dangerous position a person can be in, alone with your effort, alone with your doubt, and armed with nothing but the answer to one question. Is my reason bigger than this moment? That question is not theoretical. That question is the entire test. When you're in the middle chapter, exhausted, discouraged, uncertain, invisible, and you ask yourself why you're still doing this, the answer that comes back is either strong enough to keep you moving or it isn't. There's no middle ground. And this is why everything we talked about earlier matters so much. If your reason is vague, it won't produce an answer that has any force behind it. I want to be successful produces nothing useful at 2 in the morning when you're wondering whether any of this matters. But I want my kids to grow up knowing that their father didn't quit on himself. That produces something. That produces heat. That produces a physical, visceral, undeniable pull that doesn't need to be argued for or intellectually defended. It simply is, and it's stronger than the fatigue, stronger than the doubt, stronger than the silence of the middle chapter. That's the difference between a reason that survives the test and one that doesn't. One gives you words, the other gives you fuel. And here's the part that I think is the most beautiful, and I don't use that word casually. When your reason survives the middle chapter, when you carry it through the long gray stretch and come out the other side still holding it, something happens to that reason. It changes, it deepens. Before the test, it was something you believed. After the test, it's something you've proven. Before the test, it was an idea you held about yourself. After the test, it's part of your identity. There's a huge difference between a person who says, I believe I can endure hard things, and a person who says, I have endured hard things, and I chose to keep going. The first person is making a prediction. The second person is stating a fact, and that fact becomes a foundation, a piece of solid ground inside you that can't be taken away by circumstance or opinion or bad luck. Every future challenge you face it standing on the ground of what you've already survived. And that ground is more valuable than any strategy, any technique, any tool you'll ever pick up. Because strategies can be forgotten and tools can be lost, but the knowledge that you've been tested and held your position, that stays with you for good. So I want to challenge you tonight to stop running from the test. Stop interpreting difficulty as a signal that you've chosen wrong. Start seeing it for what it actually is, the process by which your reason is forged into something trustworthy. You wouldn't trust a sword that's never been struck against anything. You wouldn't trust a wall that's never felt the weight it was built to bear. Why would you trust a reason that's never been pressed, never been strained, never been asked to hold you up when everything inside you wanted to sit down? The pressing is not the enemy. The pressing is the process. It's how your reason goes from being something you carry to something that carries you. And once that transition happens, once your reason has been tested and proven and made real by what it's survived, you'll have something that no amount of comfort or ease could ever give you. You'll have certainty, not the certainty that the road ahead will be smooth. That kind of certainty doesn't exist and never will. But the certainty that whatever comes, your reason is strong enough to meet it. That certainty is not arrogance. That certainty is the quiet, hard-won knowledge of a person who has been through something real and discovered that what they're carrying is not a theory. It's a truth. And a truth, unlike a theory, does not collapse when the pressure builds. A truth holds, and so will you. Now, we may need to go where most people are not willing to. And I think the reason they haven't gone there is because it requires a kind of honesty that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel inspiring. It doesn't produce the rush of excitement that setting a new goal produces, or the warmth of discovering a new reason. What it produces is clarity. And clarity, while invaluable, is not always comfortable. Because clarity means seeing things as they are, not as you wish they were. And what I want you to see clearly tonight is this. The reason most people's reasons fail them is not that the reasons aren't good enough. It's that the person carrying the reason never sat down and had an honest conversation with themselves about what that reason was going to cost. They committed to the destination without reading the price tag. They said yes to the dream without understanding the invoice. And when the bills started showing up, they were shocked. And the shock is what broke them, not the bills themselves. When you encounter a cost you expected, it's difficult, but it's manageable. You budgeted for it. You knew it was coming. You set something aside, emotionally and practically, to handle it when it showed up. But when you encounter a cost you didn't expect, when the bill arrives and you had no idea this was part of the deal, the experience is entirely different. It's not just difficult. It's destabilizing. It shakes your confidence in the whole thing. You start questioning not just the cost, but the goal itself. If it's going to be like this, maybe I don't want it after all. And that reaction is perfectly natural, but it's also perfectly avoidable. Not by eliminating the cost, you can't do that. The cost is the cost. But by eliminating the surprise. Because it's almost never the suffering itself that makes a person quit. It's the gap between what they expected and what they encountered. Close that gap before you begin, and you take away the single most destructive force in the entire journey, the feeling of being blindsided by a reality you should have seen coming. This is what I call the honest yes, and I want you to understand it because I believe it's one of the most important things a person can do before they set out on any serious pursuit. The honest yes is not a moment of enthusiasm. It's not the rush you feel when you first see the vision, when the goal is shiny and new and everything feels possible. That rush is wonderful, but it's not an agreement, it's an emotion. The honest yes is the agreement that comes after the emotion. When you've sat down with yourself in a quiet room, with no audience, no music, no applause, and you've laid out on the table everything this pursuit is going to ask of you. Not the glamorous parts, not the success story you'll tell someday. The real parts, the hard parts, the parts that nobody puts in the brochure. And I want to be specific because vague honesty is almost as useless as dishonesty. When I say lay it out on the table, I mean make a list. Write it down if you have to. What is this path going to demand from your time? Not a lot of time. That's vague. How many evenings a week will you spend working instead of resting? How many weekends will you lose? How many seasons will pass where you're building something that nobody can see yet? Where you have nothing to show for your sacrifice except the knowledge that you showed up again? What is this path going to demand from your relationships? Because it will demand something. There will be people who don't understand what you're doing. There will be gatherings you miss. There will be conversations you can't fully be present for because your mind is somewhere else, working on something that the people around you may not value the way you do. There will be loneliness in this, a particular kind of loneliness that comes from being deeply committed to something that the people in your daily life are not committed to. Not because they're bad people, but because it's your journey, not theirs. And that distinction creates a distance that no amount of love entirely closes. What is this path going to demand from your comfort? Because you are going to be uncomfortable, and not in the temporary, exciting way that adventure novels describe. You're going to be uncomfortable in the boring, grinding, unglamorous way. You're going to have stretches where you feel foolish. Stretches where you're investing money you're not sure you'll get back. Stretches where people look at what you're doing and their faces tell you they think you're wasting your time, even if their mouths are too polite to say it. You're going to have moments of real embarrassment, not the charming, self-deprecating kind, but the real kind, the kind that makes your face hot and your stomach turn. You're going to make mistakes that cost you things you care about, and you're going to have to keep going anyway, carrying the weight of those mistakes along with everything else. That's on the invoice. That's part of what you're agreeing to when you say yes to something meaningful. And if you don't acknowledge it before you begin, it will ambush you later. And ambushes are what break people. So the honest yes works like this. You sit down with all of that laid out in front of you, the lost evenings, the financial risk, the loneliness, the discomfort, the embarrassment, the stretches of invisibility where nobody's watching and nobody cares, and the only witness to your effort is you. You look at all of it, honestly, without softening it, without telling yourself it won't be that bad, without imagining that somehow you'll be the exception who gets the reward without paying the full price. And then you ask yourself one question, not, can I endure this? That's the wrong question, because almost anyone can endure almost anything for a short time. The right question is my reason worth this specific list of costs? Not worth it in general, not worth it in the abstract. Worth this, worth these particular sacrifices, worth this specific collection of difficult experiences that I have just named out loud and looked at with clear eyes. Because when you say yes to that question, when you say yes knowing exactly what you're agreeing to, that yes is made of something entirely different than the yes you said in a moment of excitement. That yes has roots, that yes has been tested against reality before reality even showed up. And when the costs start coming, as they will, you don't experience shock. You experience recognition. You look at the difficulty and you say, I know you, I expected you, I accounted for you. You're not a surprise, and you're not a reason to stop. That is the difference between the people who quit and the people who keep going. And I want you to hear this because I think it's the most misunderstood part of perseverance. The people who quit are not weaker than the people who continue. They're not less talented. They're not less passionate. In a lot of cases, they wanted it just as badly. The difference is that the people who continue made their agreement with open eyes. They didn't romanticize the process. They didn't tell themselves a fairy tale about how it was going to feel. They looked at the invoice, every line of it, and they said, yes, I will pay this. And because they said yes before the bill showed up, they didn't have to make the decision in the heat of the moment, when their emotions were raw and their energy was low and their judgment was clouded by pain. The decision was already made. It was made in a clear room on a calm evening, with a steady hand and a sober mind, and no amount of difficulty could reopen the case. The case was settled. The verdict was in. The honest yes was given, and it held. So happens what happens when a person hasn't done this. The person who says yes without examining the cost is basically signing a contract they haven't read. And for a while, that doesn't matter. The early days of any pursuit are usually manageable. The costs are low, the excitement is high, and the gap between expectation and reality is small enough to ignore. But as the journey goes on, the costs increase, the sacrifices get deeper, the loneliness gets sharper, the uncertainty gets heavier. And because this person never cataloged those costs in advance, each one feels like a betrayal. Each one feels like evidence that something has gone wrong, that the path is broken, that they were misled. Nobody told me it would be like this, they say. And they're right, nobody told them. But that's because they never asked. They never sat down and demanded the truth from themselves. They took the brochure at face value, and now they're standing in the middle of a reality that the brochure didn't prepare them for. And they feel cheated, not by anyone else, by their own unwillingness to look at the full picture before they started. I want to leave you with something about this honest yes that I think is deeply important. And it's something that most people get backwards. Most people think that honestly facing the cost of their ambition will discourage them. They think that if they really look at how hard it's going to be, they'll lose their nerve. They'll talk themselves out of it. And so they deliberately avoid the exercise. They keep the picture blurry on purpose because they believe that ignorance is what gives them the courage to begin. But that's backwards. Ignorance doesn't give you courage. Ignorance gives you enthusiasm. And enthusiasm is not courage. Enthusiasm is what you feel when you don't know what's coming. Courage is what you have when you know exactly what's coming and you step forward anyway. The person who has done the honest yes and still says, I'm going, that person has real courage because their commitment is based on truth, not fantasy. And a commitment based on truth can withstand anything the journey throws at it because the journey can't show them anything worse than what they've already agreed to face. So I'm asking you tonight, before you go any further down whatever road you're on, to stop and have this conversation with yourself. Not the cheerful conversation, not the vision board conversation, the honest conversation. Sit down in a quiet room and list every cost you can think of, every uncomfortable truth about what lies ahead, every sacrifice, every risk, every stretch of difficult ground. Write it all down. Don't spare yourself. Don't protect yourself from the reality of your own ambition. And then look at that list and look at your reason, the specific, visceral, bigger than yourself reason we talked about earlier, and ask the question, is this reason worth this cost? If the answer is no, that's not failure, that's wisdom. That's a person who saved themselves years of misdirected effort by telling the truth early. But if the answer is yes, if you look at that list and your reason still burns hotter than the price tag, then you have something that almost nobody has. You have an honest yes. And an honest yes, given with open eyes and a clear mind, is the strongest foundation a person can build anything on. Because the storms can come and the costs can pile up, and the middle chapter can stretch out longer than you ever imagined, and none of it will surprise you. You saw it coming. You named it. You agreed to it. And your reason, tested against the truth of what it would actually demand, held firm. That is not optimism. That is not motivation. That is architecture. And architecture, unlike enthusiasm, does not collapse when the weather changes. Now, I want to paint a picture for you because we've spent this evening talking about finding your reason, testing it, strengthening it, and honestly counting its cost. And all of that is essential work. But I don't want you to leave tonight thinking that the only function of a strong reason is to help you survive hard times. That's part of it, sure. That's what we've been focused on, and it matters a lot. But there's another side to this that most people never get to see, because most people quit before they experience it. And that other side is this: a reason that is clear, tested, and honestly accepted doesn't just help you push through obstacles. It reorganizes your entire life. It simplifies things that used to be complicated. It quiets noise that used to be deafening. It answers before they're even asked 1,000 daily questions that would otherwise eat up your time and energy and leave you exhausted by noon without having accomplished a single thing that matters. And that reorganization, that simplification, is not a side benefit. It is one of the most practical, tangible, measurable advantages a person can have. Let's start with decisions, because I think this is where you see the effect most clearly. Think about how much of your life is spent deciding. Not the big decisions, those come along rarely. I'm talking about the small ones, the daily ones, the ones that seem insignificant on their own, but collectively eat up hours of your week. Should I go to this event or stay home and work? Should I take this meeting or protect my schedule? Should I spend this money or save it? Should I say yes to this favor or draw a boundary? Should I chase this opportunity or focus on what I've already started? Every single one of those questions takes energy. Every single one of them creates a small moment of friction in your day, a pause, a hesitation, a weighing of options. And most people are drowning in those moments, not because the questions are hard, but because they have no filter to run them through. They evaluate every decision on its own merits, from scratch, every single time. And that process is exhausting, because it forces you to rebuild your priorities in every moment, as if you've never thought about them before. Now watch what happens when a person has a clear, deeply held reason at the center of their life. Those same decisions don't go away. The questions still come, but the process of answering them is completely different, because now there's a filter. Now there's a standard. Every question gets run through a single simple test. Does this serve the reason, or doesn't it? Does this event move me closer to what I've committed to, or does it pull me away? Does this meeting contribute to the thing I've said matters most, or is it a distraction wearing a professional costume? Does this spending invest in my declared purpose, or does it drain resources I'll need for something more important? The questions are the same, but the speed and clarity of the answers is transformed. Decisions that used to take days now take minutes. Decisions that used to agonize you now feel obvious. Not because you've become smarter or more experienced, but because you've established a reference point that makes the right answer visible almost immediately. A clear reason works exactly like a compass. It doesn't move your feet for you, but it tells you instantly whether the step you're about to take is pointed in the right direction or the wrong one. And a person with a compass covers ground in a way that a person without one simply can't match, no matter how fast the second person moves, because speed without direction is just expensive wandering. What about life at home? This is where the reorganization gets personal, and for some of you, uncomfortable. When your reason becomes clear, your relationships begin to sort themselves. Not violently, not overnight, but gradually, unmistakably. The people in your life begin to fall into two groups: those who are aligned with where you're going and those who are not. And I want to be careful here, because I'm not saying that you should cut people out of your life just because they don't share your ambition. That would be cold. And more importantly, it would be foolish. The people who love you are not obstacles simply because they have different priorities. But what does happen naturally and inevitably is that your time and energy begin to redistribute themselves. You start noticing where your energy goes after certain conversations. You start noticing which relationships leave you sharper and which ones leave you scattered. You start recognizing the difference between people who make your reason feel more real and people who, without meaning any harm, make it feel less real. And you begin, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity, to invest more deeply in the relationships that strengthen your direction and to hold more gently the relationships that weaken it. This isn't a strategy you have to force. It's something that happens on its own once the reason is clear. Because clarity creates a kind of gravity. When you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing, you naturally gravitate toward people and environments that reinforce that clarity, the same way a plant naturally turns towards sunlight without anyone telling it to. You don't have to make speeches about it. You don't have to have dramatic confrontations. You just start spending your relational energy differently. And over time, the shape of your social world adjusts to match the shape of your purpose. And the relationships that remain, the ones that survive the reorganization, become deeper and more meaningful than anything you had before, because they're not based on convenience or habit or proximity. They're based on shared direction. And shared direction is one of the strongest bonds two people can have. And we have to take a good look at our time, because if decisions and relationships are reshaped by a clear reason, time is revolutionized by one. Most people have a really troubled relationship with time. They feel like they never have enough of it. They feel like it's always slipping away, always being eaten up by things they didn't choose, always being stolen by obligations and interruptions, and the endless noise of a life that feels busier than it is productive. And the reason most people feel this way is not that they have less time than anyone else. We all have the same hours. The reason is that they're spending their time without a budget. They're letting the hours be allocated by whoever or whatever shows up first. The ringing phone, the urgent email, the neighbor's request, the interesting distraction. Their time is a public resource, available to anyone who asks for it. And because they have no internal standard for determining what deserves their hours and what doesn't, they give their time away freely and then wonder why there's none left for the things that matter. A person with a clear reason experiences time completely differently. Not because they have more of it, but because they spend it with intention. Their reason acts as a budget. Every hour has a job, and that job is evaluated against the same standard we talked about with decisions. Does this serve the reason, or doesn't it? And the hours that don't serve the reason aren't necessarily eliminated, because life contains obligations and pleasures that exist outside your primary purpose, and that's perfectly fine. But those hours are recognized for what they are. They're seen clearly. They're chosen consciously. And the hours that do serve the reason are protected with the kind of seriousness that most people save for doctor's appointments and tax deadlines. They're not negotiable. They're not the first thing to be sacrificed when something else comes along. They're treated as what they are, the most valuable hours of the day, the hours in which the actual building happens, the hours that will compound over months and years into something real and lasting. And because those hours are protected, the person who protects them gets more done in a single focused year than most people get done in 5 scattered ones. Not because they work harder necessarily, but because they work with direction, and directed effort produces results that undirected effort can't touch. Now, I want to bring all of this together because I think there's a bigger truth here that connects everything we've talked about tonight into a single idea. And the idea is this: a clear reason is not an emotional experience. I know that sounds contradictory, given everything we've said about visceral connection and feeling your reason in your body and finding something that generates heat. And all of that is true. But the ultimate function of a clear reason is not emotional. The ultimate function of a clear reason is practical. It is the most practical tool a person can carry because it does something that no amount of planning or strategy or time management can do on its own. It eliminates noise. It ends the endless internal debate. It answers the questions that would otherwise keep you up at night, turning options over in your mind, wondering if you're on the right track, wondering if you should change course, wondering if the sacrifice is worth it. A clear reason answers all of those questions in advance, and it answers them the same way every time. And that consistency is what makes it so powerful. It doesn't give you a different answer on Tuesday than it gave you on Saturday. It doesn't waver because your energy is low or your confidence is shaken. It holds its shape regardless of conditions, and because it holds its shape, everything built around it holds its shape too. That is what a decisive life looks like, and I chose that word carefully. Decisive, not passionate, not motivated, not inspired. Decisive. Because passion fades, motivation fluctuates, inspiration comes and goes like weather. But a person who has a clear reason is decisive in a way that doesn't depend on any of those things. They make choices quickly, not because they're reckless, but because they have a standard that makes the right choice visible. They commit fully, not because they're fearless, but because they've already counted the cost and agreed to pay it. They move with a kind of steadiness that other people find almost confusing, because the people around them are being tossed around by every change in circumstance, every shift in mood, every new piece of information. And this person just keeps moving in the same direction, adjusting their tactics, but never their trajectory, adapting to conditions, but never abandoning their heading. And that steadiness is not stubbornness. Stubbornness is refusing to change when change is called for. Steadiness is knowing what doesn't need to change because you've already decided what matters most, and what matters most is not up for renegotiation. So let me leave you with this before we go. The goal was never to find a reason that makes life easy. If that's what you've been looking for, I can save you the trip. It doesn't exist. No reason, however profound, will smooth the road or calm every storm or remove the price of the thing you're building. The goal was to find a reason that makes you decisive, a reason so clear, so specific, so viscerally connected to who you are and what you care about, that it cuts through the fog of daily life like a beam of light through a dark room. A reason that has been tested by difficulty and proven by endurance and accepted with honest eyes. A reason that reorganizes your decisions, clarifies your relationships, protects your time, and silences the noise that keeps most people stuck in a state of permanent deliberation. That is what a strong enough reason does. It doesn't carry you. It organizes you. It doesn't remove the obstacles. It makes the obstacles irrelevant to the question of whether you continue. And a person who has that, a person moving in a clear direction, with a reason they've chosen honestly, carrying a cost they've agreed to pay, that person doesn't need to wonder whether they'll find a way through whatever stands in front of them. They already know, not because the path ahead is simple, and not because they have some extraordinary strength the rest of us don't, but because they are no longer available for the alternative. They have closed that door. They have made their decision. And a person who has truly decided, who has burned the option of retreat, not out of recklessness, but out of clarity, will always find a way through. Always. Not because the universe rewards determination, although maybe it does, but because a person who is no longer debating whether to continue has freed up the only resource that actually matters, their full attention, their complete energy, their undivided focus, and they've aimed it without reservation and without distraction at the single act of moving forward. And forward, pursued with that kind of singular commitment, is a direction that has never once failed to lead somewhere worth arriving.